Of Champa winning and doing the Universal Tournament, Beerus agrees and decides to face off against his brother, but actually seeing his brother's power being increased so much, Beerus actually is kind of interested in how this battle will go. He knows that his mortals, or some of the mortals that he has, are incredibly stronger than him. And of course, he believes that Vegeta will most likely be able to succeed him in being a God of Destruction. Of course, Vegeta does not want to become a God of Destruction, but Beerus believes that Vegeta would be able to suit this role really well. Of course, Vegeta is kind of reluctant, but he decides to agree to Beerus' proposal. Of course, he does wear the initial clothes of a God of Destruction, but he still has the same armor on top of it. Just in case, because he wants to practically keep his Saiyan armor, believing that this is his own way of showing that he's still a Saiyan, even if he becomes a God of Destruction. And Beerus, of course, decides to agree to this, and he believes that Vegeta will most likely grow even stronger than him. Maybe he'll even be strong enough to even train with the Grand Priest. But Vegeta actually believes that he and Goku should train with the Grand Priest themselves. He doesn't want to take advantage, but believing that he may be able to grow stronger thanks to that, he decides to agree to Beerus' proposal, and eventually they go to Earth. Of course, Gohan greets them, and eventually Beerus gets some food, and they eat. Gohan, of course, gets both Broly, Goku, and the others from the time chamber, as of course Goku tells Gohan to not tell about their new levels of power. Of course, Vegeta actually knows what Goku thinks, and of course decides to also do the same, believing that they should practically increase their strength. Of course, this will most likely consist of the battles being a little bit split. Of course, the Universal Tournament will be much more different as there will be much more fighters. So, the joint team will be Vegeta, Goku, Gohan, Raditz, Bardock, and of course Broly himself. With of course a team of 6 fighters, will be against the Universe six fighters. And of course this happens, they're transported into a remote planet as they be in the tournament. The first match will be Kawa against Gohan. And of course Gohan and Kawa will begin their battle. But of course, Gohan would have been pushed really back by Gohan's power. Gohan had not been training as hard as he has in many years, but due to his immense potential and because of his father, Gohan is so strong that even just barely training, he's still strong enough to even handle a Super Saiyan Kawa by himself. Of course, Kawa is able to push Gohan a little bit, but it's nothing. Of course, Kawa knows that he must push Gohan even further, so he powers up to Super Saiyan 2. This actually forces Gohan to use Super Saiyan for the first time. Since he has actually been long actually forgotten about this form, but seeing it actually fight with Kawa, he actually is starting to utilize much more. Of course, Chopper tells Kawa to finish it off quickly before something else happens. Of course, Kawa has to agree to this and powers up. With Kawa powering up into beast form. Of course, some of the senior 7 Saiyans were actually surprised by this, by not Saiyan able to achieve Gohan's form. Of course, Kawa explains that this is the form he achieved that no other Saiyan has achieved, but Gohan just chuckles and tells them that he is half correct. Another Saiyan achieved it before him. Of course, Kawa is confused with what he means, but Gohan just powers up to his beast form. Surprisingly, all the Universe 6 Saiyans, as they thought that only Kawa was able to achieve this form, but Gohan just proved them wrong. He has achieved this form a really long time ago, when he was just a teenager. Of course, this surprises Kawa, but Gohan tells him to go all out. If he has any trump cards, to utilize it now since he will not spare him from this battle. Of course, Kawa powered up to 100% of his power, but Gohan just powered up to 75 instead. Wanting to practically hold himself back to see how far Kawa can actually go, but even with just 75%, he's as strong as Kawa is in 100%. This actually surprised Gohan that he's this strong even though he's not been trained for so long, but he realizes that maybe Kawa is still not fully tapped into a power of beast. So, Gohan believes that Kawa should train a lot more. So eventually, after some time, Gohan is able to knock out Kawa and eventually win the first round, with the first round going to Universe 7. Of course, Jump agrees his teeth and tells Kawa that next time he'll be training even harder than ever before. Jump, of course, Kawa looks down and agrees with Champa. But of course, Vegeta tells Champa to not be so harsh on him. He's been training really hard. It's not his fault that he is not able to send someone with much more higher potential. Indeed, Kawa has an incredibly high potential, but pairing him with someone who's been training for as long as he was a kid should not be underestimated. Of course, Jumper disagrees with his teeth, but knowing that he cannot argue with Vegeta because his power is much more higher, he decides to silence himself. And of course, Kawa is kind of happy to actually be protected by someone, with Vegeta just giving Kawa a thumbs up, which of course Kawa just smiles. Of course, the next round would have been Bardock against Caulifla. Of course, Caulifla would have mocked Bardock, but Bardock would be unfazed. He's already been used to a cocky attitude of Vegeta and some of the other scenes back on Planet Vegeta, so he's unbothered by this. Of course, they started the battle, and of course, Bardock would be easily able to take the advantage. Of course, Bardock would tell Caulifla that if she doesn't have any more power to show, this battle will be over. Of course, Caulifla gets angered and powers up. Of course, Bardock decides to do the same, as Caulifla powers up into a different form, which is similar to a Super Saiyan God. Of course, Vegeta actually realizes this, and actually realizes that this is a form that their ancestor Yamushi fought against a long time ago. Of course, Goku is confused with what Vegeta means, but Vegeta explains that a long time ago, there was a Saiyan who practically murdered at least 100 Saiyans and achieved his own variation of a divine form, similar to a Super Saiyan God, but a corrupted version, known as a Dark Super Saiyan God. Of course, this form was known as a blooded Super Saiyan God, which practically consists of a Saiyan practically having the blood of at least 100 Saiyans being killed by their own hands. Of course, Kefla confirms that she is indeed killed 100 Saiyans, but those bastards were thieves and criminals. So she's not a bad person. Of course, Goku and Vegeta know she's not a bad person, but seeing her achieve this form was kind of concerning for both of them. They know that this form can maybe be incredibly powerful, but Vegeta knows from experience and from what his father has been told him from the ancient books of the Saiyans that this form can practically corrupt the user if not controlled properly. And from what Vegeta can see is that Khalifa is only type to have the power of the original form. Of course, Bardock just powered up to his primal limit breaker Super Saiyan 4 state. Of course, Kizuna, of course, as she sees this, is actually incredibly surprised. He actually wonders if Bardock has the same similar form to him. But of course, Goku actually explains to everyone that this is the form of Bardock that he achieved. It's practically an evolution of Super Saiyan 4 mixed with, of course, God Ki. But it's much more different because Bardock is actually using the power of his essence as a Saiyan into this form as well, practically granting it the primal power, which of course Goku and Vegeta have in their own Ultra state. But of course, it's much more different because Bardock is utilizing it is much more lower forms, while Goku and Vegeta had to use it in their own techniques, which is much more different. Of course, the battle continues to rage on, as Bardock was actually on the back foot against Caulifla. But of course, Bardock after some time powers up to 100% and starts to overpower Caulifla. Caulifla of course starts to get angry as all will start to change, turning to a dark red as Vegeta actually realizes that Caulifla is now tapped into a full power of the form. Bardock realizes that this battle might get crazy, so he decides to power up to a form. Of course, he powers up, and this is actually a form that Goku actually taught his father thanks to his training. Bardock powers up into Heavenly Super Saiyan 4. It's a form that Bardock achieved thanks to the help of Goku. By combining the power of Ultra Instinct Sign together, Bardock was not able to achieve much more higher than Ultra Instinct Sign, but combining it with his Super Saiyan 4 and combining the power of God Cube within it, he was able to create Heavenly Super Saiyan 4. This one was incredibly strong, but of course, Bardock did apologize to Goku for slacking off a little bit because he has to train rats, but of course, Goku tells him that it's alright. And even Vegeta can tell that Bardock is incredibly strong. Of course, Val was actually surprised as Bardock can actually match her power right now. She's surprised because she has actually been slightly training herself, but seeing that a mortal can actually reach her level was indeed impressive. Of course, Luigi just chuckles and tells his sister that there are two mortals that even surpass him. Of course, Veloso is actually surprised that two mortals are actually able to surpass her older brother, but she actually is indeed impressed. Of course, the battle continues to rage on, and eventually, Bardock is actually proclaimed the victor. Of course, this battle was incredibly intense, and even almost made both Bardock and Caulifla kill each other. Because of Caulifla's berserker rage over the form, losing its control over it, she was not herself when she fought this battle, but instead Bardock had to save her by knocking her out, which is the only way for him to practically deal with her. Of course, after the match, they're able to get healed, and eventually Caulifla apologized to Bardock for underestimating him, but Bardock just tells her to continue to grow stronger, and maybe if she continues to get rid of her cocky attitude, she will also get able to grow strong enough to even surpass him. Of course, Caulifla just smiles and thanks Bardock as Bardock just nods and goes back to his seat, with number 7 having another victory under the belt. Of course, the next match would have been much more different. Because the area began destroyed by both Bardock and Caulifla, they decided to use the Pyramid of Power instead. And with the power of the two angels, they're able to immediately enhance it so it can handle a lot more power. Of course, the next match would have been Broly and Kale. Of course, Broly would have then started in base, and eventually will power up to Akari. Of course, Kale would have been pushed back, and some of the other stands from Unit 6 were actually surprised. But of course, both Goku and Vegeta had to tell that Caulifla is actually not the only legendary Super Saiyan from this multiverse. Of course, the other Saiyans were a little bit confused, but they explained that Broly is also a legendary Super Saiyan himself, which surprises them as well. Of course, Kale would then get pushed back, but eventually would use her legendary Super Saiyan form and start to fight Broly. But Broly and Ikari alone is just enough to handle her as well. Of course, all the Saiyans were in shock and even surprised that Broly could actually handle her this easily. Broly was getting stronger, but so was Kale. But Kale was actually growing stronger at a much more slower rate than Broly was. Because of Broly being a mutant of a legendary Super Saiyan, he was much more powerful than her, which made him much more compatible to legendary Super Saiyan power than Kale herself. Of course, after some time, Broly would have been pushed by Kale and decided to power up a lot more. Powering to his Super Saiyan form, it starts to overpower Kale easily, gutting her in, giving her a gut punch as he sends her flying. Of course, Kale is able to recover and use Super Saiyan God. Combining her with the legendary Super Saiyan form, he was able to achieve legendary Super Saiyan God. Of course, she has mastered the form and continues to battle Broly, but Broly with ease will start to overpower her even with her God form on top of it. Of course, to surprise most of the other Saiyans, is he thought that KO with this form could not actually be beaten. Of course, only the one who could actually beat her would either hit or King Sadala, but to see that another Saiyan can easily handle her in just a normal Super Saiyan form was another big feat that they didn't expect it. Of course, Broly easily dealt with KO and eventually asks as the rest of Universe 6 if they actually have much more stronger fighters because this battle starts to get boring. Of course, Goku actually tells his idea and eventually asks Khalifa if she has the Avatar area. Of course, Khalifa is actually surprised Goku knows about this, but of course, Vegeta actually explains that they're not that big of a secret for them. They have it in their own universe, so it's not that big of a surprise that they have it as well. Of course, they're both Goku and Vegeta are referring for both Kale and Khalifa to fuse into Kefla. Of course, they both decide to agree to this, believing that this may be the only way for them to win against Broly. So they do that, and eventually fuse into Kefla. Kefla decides to test her power against Broly, but is quickly turned down as Broly is easily able to overpower her even when she uses her base form at full power. Of course, Kefla decides to power up a lot more and power him to her strongest stage. With of course Goku and Vegeta telling everyone to power to their strongest forms because they'll most likely not be able to handle this clash of power. Of course, Goku and Vegeta just go into their ultra forms, not trying to show their full powers, but just telling everyone to do that. Of course, everyone in Universe 7 alongside Universe 6 had to listen to them. But of course, King Sadao and Kid do conceal some of their powers so they can hide it from the next fighters that they'll be able to face. As for of course, Kefla she'll power to her most powerful stage. Of course, she'll slightly go berserk as her power will go wild. Of course, but we realize in will power to his legendary Super Saiyan God. With of course Kefla achieving a new form, which is a combination between Kale's legendary Super Saiyan form and Khalifa's blood Super Saiyan God. This could be called Dark Super Saiyan. Dark Super Saiyan God. Of course, this form was much stronger because of the combination between the legendary form as well. Because this, of course, Kefla was given a really good challenge, and Broly was starting to get excited, feeling his blood pumping as he continues to battle Kefla. But he could tell that now she was getting stronger as well, like he was. But Broly decided to end this battle quickly, and he powers up, power to his max form. Of course, Goku is actually surprised that Broly was starting to actually utilize his true power right off the bat, even showing it as well. With Broly showing his true legendary Super Saiyan form, and just a single hit, he's able to knock Khalifa down and knock her out of her fusion. Of course, this surprises both King Sadao and Hit, as they have never seen a Saiyan be this powerful. Even for those who are actually surprised that a Saiyan, only just one Saiyan without even using fusion, can actually defeat a fusion of two of the most powerful Saiyans in her own universe. Of course, for those things, if Broly is the strong, how are the two most strongest mortals that they ever been? Of course, for those things that maybe Broly is the strongest mortal, but she's actually doubting herself because Goku and Vegeta are actually stronger than Broly. Even though Vegeta has not been training with Broly, he's been training with Beerus and Whis for a really long time. So Goku and Vegeta are still the strongest, even beyond Broly's imagination. Of course, after the battle ended, they go back to a plan that they were on before, but eventually they're greeted by both Zeno and the Grand Priest, with Zeno actually asking both Beerus and Champa what they're doing. Of course, they both explain their reasons and apologize to Zeno. Of course, Zeno actually wants to be slightly entertained since he's bored, and both Vegeta decide to do that for Zeno. They're trying to practically see if Zeno will react any time, anyway. So they both power to the Ultra Saiyan and eventually fight against one another. They're trying to give entertainment to Zeno. Of course, as they continue to battle and train, this was actually mostly their training and of course fighting each other as well. So of course they decide to take it to the next level and power to the Ultra stages. Of course, this surprises the Grand Priest as he has naturally seen these forms before, but it seems that those Saiyans were easily able to achieve these forms before. And of course, Grand Priest is incredibly impressed by the two Saiyans, believe that they're incredibly powerful prodigies that they can be used. Of course, both Vegeta continue to fight as they entertain Zeno. But of course, both Beerus and Whis tell them that this is enough, since they will mostly destroy the area. Of course, both and Vegeta nod as they both power down, but that this was just enough. Of course, the new area would have been resorted being the Tournament of Power arena, and of course, almost all the destroyers would have been cold so they can fight against one another. Because of course, Zeno wanted to practice show all the destroyers Universe 16 or 7's battle. I'm excited to actually see how far the destroyers have gone. Of course, almost every destroyer would have been taken out by Beerus and Champa, with only Belmont being left as well. Of course, Belmont tells Beerus that he's no longer the strongest because of his training, but Beerus just scoffs. Champa powered up to his Ultra State and Belmont powered up to his Ultra Ego, and he tells Champa that they should defeat Beerus together. Of course, Champa is kind of reluctant, but he has to agree to this, but Beerus just scoffs and tells him that they're no match for him. Beerus, of course, just powered up to his Ultra form, just like Champa did, but this Ultra Form is mastered. Unlike Champa who's achieved it, Beerus has long mastered it. So with ease, Beerus is able to easily knock both Belmont and Champa out of the arena, winning as he's proclaimed the strongest destroyer in the multiverse. Of course, Vegeta is still impressed, but he believes that he doesn't need to be a destroyer to have the power of Hakai. But he thinks that maybe the way that his power is going, maybe he should. But for now, he'll not utilize it. And this is the end for this part, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Sayonara, my Z fans.